You're scrolling through Instagram at 11 p.m., watching another friend announce their fitness transformation journey with a gym selfie and 3 fire emojis. You double tap, leave an encouraging comment, and feel that familiar sting of recognition. Because 6 months ago, that was you. And 3 months before that, and probably next month too. What if I told you that the moment you share your goal with someone, your brain releases the same chemicals as if you had already achieved it? And what if this single neurological mistake is the reason 92% of people never reach their New Year's resolutions? You're about to discover something that will fundamentally change how you approach every goal for the rest of your life. Something so counterintuitive that it goes against everything social media has taught you about success. Something that Marcus Aurelius knew 800 years ago, that modern neuroscience has now proven, and that every person who consistently achieves their goals practices religiously. The modern epidemic isn't lack of ambition. It's not laziness or poor time management or any of the surface-level excuses you've been telling yourself. The real epidemic is that you've been accidentally rewiring your brain to prefer talking about success over actually achieving it. And your dopamine system has been working against you this entire time. This isn't another motivational speech about discipline. This is about understanding why your brain betrays your ambitions the moment you open your mouth about them. And more importantly, how to use this knowledge to build unstoppable momentum that surprises everyone, including yourself. Let me tell you something brutal about your generation that previous generations didn't have to deal with. You've been conditioned to treat announcements like achievements. Every time you post about starting a new workout routine, launching a side hustle, or learning a new skill, you get a hit of dopamine from the likes, comments, and encouragement. Your brain literally rewards you for stating intentions, not for following through on them. This validation trap is more insidious than you realize. When someone comments, "You've got this," on your gym announcement, your brain processes that encouragement as if you've already made progress. The neurological satisfaction you get from their support actually reduces your motivation to do the hard work. You've already received the social reward your brain was seeking. Think about the last 3 major goals you announced publicly. Be honest with yourself right now. How many of them did you actually complete? How many of them died quietly a few weeks later, while your social media maintained the illusion that you're always grinding and building? The Millennial and Gen Z curse is real, and it's not your fault that you fell into it. You grew up in the first generation, where every intention could be immediately broadcast to dozens or hundreds of people. Your parents might have written goals in private journals or shared them with one close friend. You have the option to announce every ambition to an audience that's algorithmically designed to give you instant gratification for the announcement itself. Here's the first red flag that you're addicted to goal-sharing dopamine. When talking about your plans feels better than actually working on them. When you spend more time explaining your business idea than building it. When you can describe your ideal morning routine in perfect detail, but haven't followed it for more than 3 consecutive days. When you get more excited about posting workout selfies than about the actual physical transformation. This isn't a character flaw. This is your brain responding exactly as it's been programmed to respond. But understanding this mechanism is the first step to reprogramming it. In 2009, entrepreneur and researcher Derek Sivers gave a TED Talk that should have changed everything about how we approach goal achievement. He presented research from NYU psychologist Dr. Peter Gollwitzer that involved 163 participants divided into 2 groups. Both groups were given the same goal-oriented tasks. The first group was asked to share their intentions with the room. The second group was asked to keep their intentions private. The results were devastating for everything we've been taught about accountability and sharing dreams. The people who announced their goals spent significantly less time working toward them and reported feeling less motivated to continue. The people who kept their goals private worked longer, achieved more, and maintained higher levels of motivation throughout the entire study. But here's what will really shock you. The people who announced their goals felt more satisfied with their progress despite achieving less. Their brains had been tricked into experiencing the reward of achievement through the act of announcement itself. They literally felt successful while failing. Dr. Golvitz's 30 years of research revealed something called social reality. When you state an intention publicly, your brain begins to treat that intention as if it's partially real. The neural pathways associated with achievement start firing based on the social recognition of your goal, not the actual progress toward it. You get a dopamine hit from the announcement that your brain confuses with the dopamine hit from accomplishment. This is why you lose hunger for your goals after talking about them. This is why that business idea that seemed so exciting when you explained it to 5 different people suddenly feels exhausting when you sit down to actually build it. This is why your workout motivation dies the day after you post about your new fitness journey. Your brain has been getting its reward from the wrong source. Instead of releasing dopamine when you complete a workout, it releases dopamine when people react positively to your workout announcement. Instead of feeling satisfied when you finish a project, you feel satisfied when people encourage your project idea. You've been training your brain to crave approval over achievement. The most successful people throughout history have understood this intuitively. They worked in strategic obscurity, announced results instead of intentions, and built their identity around execution rather than explanation. Marcus Aurelius was arguably the most powerful man in the world during his reign as Roman emperor from 161 to 180 AD. He commanded legions, governed an empire, and made decisions that affected millions of lives. But his most profound work was never intended for public consumption. His meditations were private reflections, personal reminders, and philosophical exercises he wrote for himself alone. He never announced his philosophical journey to the Roman Senate. He never posted about his Stoic practices or shared his morning routine with his advisors. He developed one of history's most influential philosophical frameworks in complete secrecy, and it only became public knowledge centuries after his death when scholars discovered his private writings. This wasn't modesty or humility. This was strategic silence. Marcus Aurelius understood that the moment you announce your internal work to others, it becomes performance instead of practice. The moment you seek external validation for your growth, you stop growing for yourself and start growing for the applause. The Stoic principle he embodied was premeditatio malorum, preparing for obstacles and challenges rather than preparing for praise and recognition. Stoics focused relentlessly on process over proclamation. They understood that the strength of your character is built in the private moments when no one is watching, not in the public moments when everyone is cheering. This ancient wisdom isn't just philosophical theory, it's practical psychology. When you work in silence, you develop intrinsic motivation, the drive that comes from internal satisfaction rather than external approval. When you work in public, you develop extrinsic motivation, the drive that depends on others' reactions and disappears the moment the attention fades. Benjamin Franklin tracked his virtues in a private notebook that he never shared with anyone during his lifetime. Leonardo da Vinci filled thousands of pages with secret experiments and inventions that weren't discovered until centuries later. The most influential creators, leaders, and innovators throughout history practiced strategic obscurity during their development phases. They understood something your generation has forgotten: the power of mysterious progress. When people can't track your journey in real time, they become magnetically curious about your transformation. When you finally reveal results instead of intentions, you command respect in a way that announcement-addicted people never will. Your generation faces a unique psychological challenge that no previous generation has encountered. You're digital natives in an analog achievement world. You've been conditioned to receive instant feedback, immediate gratification, and constant validation for every thought, feeling, and intention. But real achievement, the kind that actually transforms your life, happens on analog timelines with digital silence. This creates what I call the execution crisis. You have more access to information about success than any generation in history. You have more tools, resources, and opportunities than your parents could have imagined, but you also have more distractions, more dopamine competition, and more ways to feel successful without actually being successful. The entrepreneurship announcement epidemic is the perfect example. Walk into any coffee shop in any major city, and listen to the conversations. Everyone is talking about their startup idea, their side hustle, their revolutionary app concept. But how many of those conversations turn into actual businesses? According to recent studies, about 10%. The other 90% get stuck in the comfortable zone of being pre-successful through talking. Networking events have become procrastination disguised as productivity. You can spend entire weekends attending startup meetups, pitching your idea to strangers, collecting business cards, and posting LinkedIn updates about your journey without writing a single line of code or making a single sale. You feel busy, ambitious, and connected to the entrepreneurial community, but you're actually just feeding your brain's addiction to the appearance of progress. The fitness goal tragedy repeats every January like clockwork. Gym memberships spike, social media fills with transformation announcements, and everyone becomes a fitness influencer for exactly 3 weeks. By February, 80% of those announced fitness journeys are abandoned. Why? Because the dopamine hit from posting gym selfies and receiving encouragement comments was stronger than the dopamine hit from actually transforming their body. This isn't happening because you lack willpower or discipline. This is happening because you're fighting against a neurological system that wasn't designed for social media feedback loops. Your brain evolved to work toward goals privately and celebrate achievements publicly. Social media has inverted this process, encouraging you to celebrate intentions publicly and achieve goals. Well, hopefully. The solution isn't to delete social media or become a hermit. The solution is to understand the difference between working for your algorithm and working for your actual life. The solution is strategic silence. Here's the rule that will change everything for you. Never announce a goal until you have 90 days of consistent action behind it. Not 30 days, not 1 week of motivation, 90 days of proven, sustainable execution. This 3-month rule creates a psychological safety net that most people never build. After 90 days of silent work, you know the goal is real because you've already been living it. You know your system works because you've already tested it through obstacles, bad days, and motivation crashes. You know you can sustain it because you already have. When you finally break your silence after 3 months of execution, something magical happens. Instead of announcing intentions, you're sharing evidence. Instead of asking for encouragement, you're demonstrating capability. Instead of seeking validation, you're commanding respect. People become magnetically curious about your transformation when they can't track it in real time. When someone notices you've lost weight, built muscle, developed a new skill, or started a business without them seeing the daily grind, they assume you have some secret knowledge or special discipline. They don't realize you just followed the ancient practice of working in strategic obscurity. This curiosity creates a different kind of social reward. Instead of getting dopamine from announcing intentions, you get dopamine from surprising people with results. Instead of being seen as someone who talks about being ambitious, you become known as someone who actually executes. Your reputation shifts from aspiring to achieving. There is one strategic exception to the silence rule, and understanding it could save you years of frustrated isolation. The exception is seeking support without seeking validation. This means working with a coach, mentor, or accountability partner who isn't emotionally invested in encouraging your dreams. They're professionally invested in challenging your execution. The difference is crucial. When you tell friends about your goals, they give you emotional support designed to make you feel better about having ambitious intentions. When you work with a professional, they give you strategic support designed to make your execution more effective. One feeds your brain's addiction to feeling ambitious. The other feeds your actual ambition. But even with professional support, the rule holds. You're sharing process and obstacles, not announcing outcomes and intentions. You're working on the goal, not working on getting approval for the goal. The most profound transformation isn't in your behavior, it's in your identity. You're about to shift from being someone who announces to being someone who executes, from someone who talks about discipline to someone who demonstrates it, from someone who seeks to appear ambitious to someone who is undeniably ambitious through action alone. This identity shift requires you to become comfortable with temporary misunderstanding. For the next 90 days, some people might think you're not as driven or ambitious as you used to be. They won't see your morning routine on Instagram. They won't hear about your latest project ideas. They might even wonder if you've given up on growth and success. This discomfort is actually proof that the strategy is working. Your brain is being forced to find motivation from internal sources instead of external approval. You're developing the psychological muscle that separates people who achieve consistently from people who announce consistently. The confidence that comes from private victories is unshakable in a way that public validation never is. When you build a habit without announcing it, complete a project without updating about it, or transform your body without documenting it, you develop self-trust that can't be taken away by algorithm changes or social media breaks. This confidence has a magnetic quality that people notice immediately. When someone consistently underpromises and overdelivers, when they surprise you with capabilities you didn't know they had, when they demonstrate results instead of explaining intentions, they command a different level of respect and curiosity. You become the person others turn to when they want real advice instead of motivational speeches. You become known for execution instead of explanation. Your word carries weight because when you finally do speak about your goals, people know you have a track record of following through. Here's exactly how to implement strategic silence for your next major goal. This isn't theory. This is a step-by-step system that has been tested by thousands of people who were trapped in the announcement achievement gap. Days 130 are pure execution with zero external discussion. You choose one significant goal that you've been tempted to announce. Maybe it's a fitness transformation, a career change, learning a new skill, or building a business. You begin working on it immediately, but you tell absolutely no one about your intentions. When people ask what you're up to, you deflect gracefully without seeming secretive, just staying busy with work and personal projects, focusing on some self-improvement stuff, working on a few things, nothing worth talking about yet. The art is changing subjects without creating curiosity about why you're being evasive. During this first month, your brain will fight you constantly. It will generate dozens of reasons why you should share your progress. You'll have breakthrough moments that feel like they need to be celebrated publicly. You'll have tough days where you crave encouragement from others. This resistance is your dopamine system trying to pull you back into the announcement addiction cycle. Every time you resist the urge to share, you're building the psychological muscle that will make you unstoppable. Days 31 to 60 are about internal assessment without progress sharing. You're now evaluating what's working, what isn't, and how to optimize your approach. But this analysis stays completely private. You might adjust your workout routine, modify your business strategy, or refine your learning method, but the improvements happen in silence. This is when most people break the protocol because they've made enough progress to have something worth sharing. They want credit for their consistency. They want acknowledgement for their growth. They want to inspire others with their journey. This is exactly the moment when staying silent becomes most powerful. You're training your brain to value actual progress over the appearance of progress. Days 61-90 are momentum verification before considering any disclosure. You're not just checking if your goal is sustainable. You're checking if you've genuinely become the type of person who executes consistently. You're verifying that your motivation comes from internal satisfaction rather than external validation. If you can complete 90 days without sharing your journey, you've fundamentally rewired your relationship with achievement. You've proven to yourself that you can sustain motivation without social media dopamine. You've built an identity around execution rather than explanation. Only after this 90-day period do you have permission to share your results. Not your journey, not your intentions, but your actual, undeniable results. You have a choice to make right now that will separate your future from your past. You can continue living in the neurological trap that has hijacked your generation's relationship with achievement. Or you can embrace the strategic silence that has enabled every great accomplishment throughout history. The announcement addiction is comfortable because it feels like progress without requiring the actual work of progress. Strategic silence is uncomfortable because it forces you to find motivation from sources other than social approval. But this discomfort is temporary. The results are permanent. Here's your Marcus Aurelius challenge for the next 90 days. Choose one major goal that you would normally announce to the world. Write it down privately. Begin working on it immediately. Tell absolutely no one about your intentions. Let your progress be your announcement. For the next 3 months, you're going to become a mystery to everyone around you. They might notice you're different, more focused, more disciplined, more consistent. But they won't know why. They might see results starting to emerge, but they won't understand how. This mystery is your competitive advantage. While everyone else is announcing their intentions and seeking validation for their ambitions, you'll be quietly building the life they're talking about building. While they're getting dopamine hits from encouragement comments, you'll be getting dopamine hits from actual achievement. While they're explaining their plans, you'll be executing yours. 90 days from now, you'll either be someone who consistently surprises others with your capabilities, or you'll be someone who consistently disappoints others with your explanations. The choice is yours, but the choice must be made in silence. Your revolution doesn't start with an announcement. It starts with strategic silence, sustained execution, and the ancient wisdom that actions speak louder than algorithms. The competitive advantage is waiting for those brave enough to work in obscurity. The question is, are you ready to become the person who chooses silence, chooses results, and commands respect through execution alone? Your 90 days of strategic silence begin now.